Okay, so like I said, I work in the disability world in Missouri. I work for an organization who kind of came up with this framework. Everybody in my organization is tied to the disability world in one way or the other. So, like most of you, I am a parent of a person with a disability. In our group, we have people that are siblings of persons with disabilities. Grandparents, we just have a wide variety, but everyone has a direct family tie. And everyone's really passionate about how to get the supports that we need, how to better advocate for the kids, for their siblings, for their families, and how do we just give them the best life possible. So you'll hear me talk about the good life a lot. And that is really the focus of Charting the Life course, is helping every single person find their good life. So what we are is a community of learning. We're designed to be used in your life, for your family members, the work you do. These framework and tools will help organize ideas, help you plan, set goals, problem solve, navigate. It just really helps with all of the things. The framework was originally kind of created to help people with intellectual and developmental disabilities really get their thoughts out and be heard. But what we realized is it can be for so much more than that. I've used these tools for almost everything at this point, and at some extent, you just start thinking in the tools without actually writing stuff down. You just start thinking that way. Before my husband started his own business, I used the tools to kind of plan out what we needed to do in preparation, what we needed to do in advance. And it really just helps get everything visually on paper. And I'm a big visual person. I know a couple of people in the group are really excited with their colored pins today. So I know that we have some visual people in the group as well. So that's what Charting the Life course is. We do have a core belief, and that core belief is that all people have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their own life aspirations in their community. So that's pretty self-explanatory. That doesn't just mean certain people. That means we all have the right to do that. Something else we really focus on is people in the context of their family and the community. So you guys can see these different graphs. It can get a little involved talking in sense of graphs, but what I really want to focus on is, for us, we're all parents. So for instance, nobody would ever say to me that Tate's diagnosis doesn't affect me, that Tate is only affected by his diagnosis and it hasn't affected my life at all. For instance, Tate's medical problems have caused me to quit my job at the hospital. It moved my husband into the full-time financial provider for a long time. It's made it to where my other son, has to think about germs and disease spread and all of those things where we really didn't think about that before. We have to wait until certain times of the day to do things. We can't just go do what we want. I can't travel alone with Tate. I have to wait till I have another person with me. So to say that it just affects him is not true. It affects the whole family. And so what we saw is in the disability world, a lot of times people were treating the person with the disability, but the family as a whole is kind of forgotten. And we really all need to be supported and treated, not just the person with the disability. The last one where you can see the stars everywhere. The star is what we're going to talk about today. So this last graph shows the person within the context. Oh, sorry. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Of course, I got a phone call. Okay, so the person in the context of the family and the community. And so instead of like a government organization or Medicaid or somebody just treating the person, we have these support stars spread all across the graph. And those support stars have different aspects to them. So for instance, one of the points of the star stands for technology. So instead of waiting on someone to take Tate, this is just like a very broad example, but say I can't do something with Tate. or I need to go outside my home, but Tate can't come. Well, instead of needing a government to send a nurse to me so that I can go outside, or institutionalizing him just because I can't do anything without him, what are some things that I can do to help that situation without relying on the government and eligibility type criteria? So for instance, I have a video baby monitor. Luckily, we're in the age that things are really clear. We have good visual aspects on our cameras. We have good sound. So I can go outside for a little bit and leave Tate inside and still listen to him and see him on the screen. So it's just thinking outside the box about how can we get things done without always relying on eligible type criteria. So like I said, today we're going to focus on the integrated support star. So if you guys have the stars printed off or on your computer, you can kind of start getting them out now. I think that it would just help to kind of look at them as I'm teaching so that you can see it all laid out. Okay, so the support star, like I said, in the past, planning for a person with a disability relied heavily on what the government or specialized support was able to give, such as Medicaid, home nursing, institutions, things like that. So what we're going to do is focus on these 5 different components that we can brainstorm and figure out and problem solve without just relying on someone else. Because as we all know, I don't know how other countries is, but in the United States, you can only get so many things. There's only so many things that you're going to be eligible for. Everyone's fighting for support. So you can't always just wait on someone to help you. You kind of just got to figure it out and think outside the box a little bit. So there's the 5 different components. The first is the eligibility type component that we were talking about. So the public or privately funded based on eligibility. The second is community, places and services that are available to anyone. The third is relationships. The fourth is day-to-day or adaptive technology. And then the fifth is assets and strengths of the individual and family. So I know it's kind of hard to think about what this is about. So I'm going to move on here and kind of show you an example. So on this example, it shows the star and it's broken down into categories. So at the first, you see the personal strengths. This is what are you good at? What skills do you have? What personal belongings do you have? What resources do you have? Then we move over to relationships. Think about family, friends, people that your child knows. It doesn't have to, sometimes you think about teachers, you might think about a piano teacher or, whatever, a nurse. There's all kinds of different things here. In that bottom green corner, we have eligibility specific. Those are needs based on age, income, employment status, the government paid services based on diagnosis, special education, Medicaid. So that is a very important category, but we just can't get stuck in that category. We need to kind of look at the whole star. Then, of course, we have community-based. These can be businesses, schools, churches, hospitals, different groups, memberships, local charities, things like that. And then technology. And in the last 10 to 15 years, this category has blown up because there is so much technology out there that if it's labeled with special needs, then sometimes it's out of our price range. We can't go and buy that. But technology has become so great. You have Alexa, you have Google Home, you have Fitbit, you have all of these things that are cost, things that we can buy out of pocket that can really help us in day-to-day life solving problems. And then on this slide, I just have an example of the star that you guys have printed out. Did everyone get that handout either on your computer or printed? I'm seeing heads shake. Okay. If not, this is a good time to print it or at least pull it up on your computer. I also sent this out to you guys. Over on the side, you can see tips and tricks. This is going to be, if you decide to kind of do this on your own, then it really helps to kind of go through the tips and tricks so that you can brainstorm what you want to do. If you get stuck in one area, it really helps kind of walk you through it. There's many different uses for the star. We can use it for decision making, problem solving, future planning, setting goals. There's no wrong way or wrong place to get started. Just pick a topic and kind of dive right in. Your first stars are probably going to be really small and ugly and all of that because you just are having trouble getting started. But I promise you, after you do one or two, you'll see the benefit of this and you'll get good at it and the ideas just start flowing. So now, I don't know how you guys learn best, but I am a very visual learner. I need to see examples of what other people have done for me to get any benefit out of it. So the next several slides are just lots and lots of examples. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions so far? I know I'm kind of going through this fast, but it will all make sense. And then the last part of this, we're all just going to talk and have fun and ask all the questions you want then, okay? So the first one, this is actually a scenario that I came up with on my own. We've kind of shifted our thought process since I created this, but at the time I was thinking wheelchair ramp and how to get that. Just so you guys know our personal situation, the wheelchair ramp isn't something that I can get covered by insurance or Medicaid or a waiver at this time, just because of different things that are going on in our life. So I'm going to kind of have to get creative about if I need a wheelchair ramp or we're also thinking vertical lift right now for our home, then how am I going to get that if I can't get it paid for through insurance? So I created this and I'll just kind of hit the high points. So, okay, let's talk about the lift that I need or the ramp. My personal assets is I can plan. There is tons of things online where you can go in and kind of create your own blueprints and things like that. So I could kind of create that all on my own and save some money. I'm pretty good at money management. I geek out with budgets. My husband hates me, but I love budgets. I love sorting money and allotting things in different places. So if I have a set goal, I can slowly work up and get money there. I have good communication skills. I have learned to ask for help when I need it. So that's something I can do. For relationships, we have friends, family, specialist support groups. For for eligibility, I had insurance, Medicaid, VA waivers. I don't have VA, but that was just for other people. Community based, maybe I can ask my church for help. There's community organizations. I didn't realize this, but sometimes home improvement stores like Lowe's and Home Depot will donate materials. They'll donate lumber and things for wheelchair ramps, which can be very helpful. They have programs for things like that. And then technology, I have a phone, computer, internet, calculator. There's apps. I can set up a GoFundMe to get these funds. Or I can think about community. What if I do a t-shirt fundraiser? I could set up different things. Maybe I can organize an event. That way people, if they do donate, they get something out of it, like a 5K. So it really just kind of helps you brainstorm all of the different ways that you can get something done if you're at a standstill. The next one, this is kind of a general support star. It's about an IEP or school meeting. I'm going to send you guys all the PowerPoints whenever we get done so that you have all this stuff, because this is a star that's already made. And if you have an IEP meeting coming up or a meeting with your child's school, this is a great thing to kind of walk through different questions that they have written down to kind of plan for your meeting, because those IEP meetings are just awful. People don't understand what we need. There can be some friction between us and between the teachers and things like that. So having it on paper can really help. That way, if you get into the meeting, I'm usually not a pushover, but sometimes I can be a little bit of a pushover, and they start telling me what we're going to do, and it doesn't line up to what I originally wanted. So having what I wanted for my child on this star or on a trajectory that you'll learn here in a couple weeks, Having that on paper when you take it into the meeting is just great, because if it starts spiraling out of control, take a look down, look at what your goals were for your child, and then give it back to them instead of just letting them tell you what to do. This is, again, a generalized one. It's called a Healthy Living Starter Star. So Charting the Life course actually created a few starter stars, which have just tons of generalized information. So this one's for healthy living. Let me flip here. So I'll just hit the high points. For the relationships, they put doctors, nurses, family members, parents, and siblings. For the eligibility-based one, they put center-based PT, OT, speech, specialized medical care, home or community-based therapies, Special Olympics, medical home, individualized health plan. For the community, you can always get a gym membership, go to a community center. You can go to a pool, you can go to a health center, health fair, YMCA, neighborhood pharmacy. For technology, there's always the pill reminders, chat with a nurse or nurse line, telemedicine, WebMD, Fitbit or Nike Fuel Band, exercise equipment, health and fitness apps, and a smart toothbrush. So this is kind of just to get your brain rolling of what can I use. I know everybody has stuff that they can plug into this. And then personal strengths says communicates with doctors well, knows how to seek help for health issues, manages own medications, different things like that. I really love this one. So today we said we were going to talk about summer or self-care. What I really want everybody to do is, if those topics don't interest you, then just pick whatever you want. This does not have to be the topic that I want you to do, but I did want to show you some examples of how those two topics can be done. So we had summer and we had self-care. This one kind of goes into summer. This is one that actually a person with developmental disabilities filled out, and I love it. So as you can see, his goal was to go fishing with his friends. His personal strengths were good at fishing. He knows how to fish. He has his own equipment, and he's good at keeping appointments. He wrote down his different relationships over here of who he could go fishing with. For eligibility, he wrote off like that his caregiver could drop him off. For community, he could ride the Oats bus. He also, it says the wharf has resources of fishing poles. Then for technology, he wrote that he could use the GPS and a cell phone to be safe. So for someone who does have developmental disabilities, this is a really great way for them to set goals for what they want and figure out tangible solutions to how to get there. I know with the level of care that my son requires, going fishing is a big deal. It might not be a big deal to someone else, but to go fishing with my son would be a huge achievement. And so it just makes me smile that this guy figured out a way to do that. I won't dive deep into this one, but you all know social distancing has been a huge thing. I added this in with kind of the summer thing because they did add in some things that they could do that would keep them socially distanced. And I thought it was good because in our life, sometimes we can't always be around the big crowds and at the big parties and things like that. So I wanted you guys to have this one to look at if you're feeling isolated and alone and that you can't get out and about. Look over this person's social distancing plan and see if you can find something to kind of help your self-care and your mental health a little bit. This one is kind of a general self-care star. I put it in there so that you could look through it and look at the different questions and ideas they had, and it would be a really good one to bounce off of. Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
Hey.
We had to do direct admit today, so that's why.
Oh, hey, look, my electricity just came back on. So now I'm probably a little bit brighter than I was before. Okay, so moving on again. This one is one that one of my friends just filled out, and it is for self-care and grief, like when you're grieving. So my friend that filled this out actually just filled it out this week for me, and she just lost her mother to dementia and other things. And so um, she filled this out to kind of get herself back into taking care of herself, because she's been so focused on caregiving for a long time. And I just loved, what she said. She also has 2 special needs children's, so that she's no stranger to grief and things like that. So she's resilient, has experience with grief. She has faith, is flexible, emotionally mature. She's been doing daily walks. She said she makes herself do it every single day, whether she feels like it or not. She has this great support group with relationships. She is a veteran, so she has the veterans home and different services she can access. She goes to church. The funeral home has helped. Her mom was in hospice, so they were receiving services through them. She has social media groups and friends. And then with the computer, she has online support groups and different things like that. So I love that she filled this out, because I feel like we can all resonate with needing self-care when we're going through a little bit of grieving. So I really liked hers. And she actually told me today, I told her I was sorry that she had felt like she needed to fill it out for me, because I had just asked people for examples. And she said, no, it was actually really therapeutic, and I'm glad I did it. And I think that's what you'll see with these tools, is eventually when you're feeling stressed and you feel like there's too much going on, whatever's causing you that, get it down onto paper, because it is really therapeutic. It's almost like journaling to me, but it kind of produces an outcome. This is one that my boss did. She did a self-care one as well. This is a more advanced star that you guys can download in the future if you wanted to. I didn't have you print it today because I didn't want to confuse anyone. But this is split into now and in the future. And it's a really good star, because you can look at what you can do now, and then you can also set goals and kind of plan at the same time. So for instance, in her relationship, she has her family and friends here, but in the future, she wants to re-engage with a lifetime friend. She wants to join a book club, and then she wants to have like neighborhood events. And then like over here in technology, she has a smartphone, computer, meditation app, and podcast. But in the future, she thinks the Google Home and setting auto reminders would help her have self-care. I think we all can relate to that, taking some load off our brains and just letting technology remind us with alarms and everything what's going on. So she filled it out this way as well. Community-based, she has church, library, shopping, parks and walking trails. And then in the future, she'd like to take a dance class. She wants to do grocery delivery. She wants to keep walking trails and do cooking classes. So you can kind of see how you can start with what you're doing and then also what you would like to do. And this is the last example I have. This is a little one I did about my Florida vacation. I know most of you know my son Tate and know that going on vacation with him is not really a simple or easy feat. And I'll just pat my own back that I am really proud of myself for making this happen. And this is just kind of what it took to get us on vacation. So for personal strengths and assets, I put that I'm organized, I can plan. I started out small. I already know how to pack because we've done a lot of weekends, lake trips. We go to St. Louis Children's all the time, and I have to pack for that. So I've gotten.
What'd you say?
What'd you say? Oh, Miranda, do you care to mute for a second, or did you need something?
Sorry, I was muted. I just rejoined the webinar. It must have.
Oh, that's okay. I was getting an echo, so. Do you care to mute so that I don't hear myself? Okay.
I have my laptop and Zoom muted.
Okay. I think we're good now. Thank you. Okay. So, also on my personal strengths and assets, I didn't want this to sound bad, but I had a low expectation for this trip. And I don't want that to sound bad, but that's actually something I needed. I didn't want to have a high expectation of, we're going to spend 6 hours at the beach each day. We're going to do parasailing and we're going to do all these activities. Like, no, we're not. We're just going to try to make it on our first beach vacation without going to a children's hospital. Like, that is our goal of this trip. So I had a low expectations and I'm flexible. For my relationships, I had my husband with me who caregives as well. My mom actually went too, so I had a third caregiver. My sister's family, they can't actually help with Tate's care, but they could help me with my other son and take him to do fun things if I couldn't go. So it was really important for me to have thought out all of the scenarios of, if Tate's not doing good, then I can sit at the room with him on the balcony and read, and I'm going to have to still be happy with my vacation if I have to spend some extra time at the condo or things like that. Like, you really need to set realistic expectations, but then think about how you can do the things that are things you really want to do. So with us, me, my husband, and my mom, we took turns doing things with Tate so that he didn't have to be out in the sun all day long. Also, this was something that I loved. I ended up meeting 2 local Florida moms on I searched the area that we were going to and joined a support group there. Not a support group, it was like a local and tourist attraction page. I posted a little bit about Tate. Immediately, 2 moms got with me, said, hey, I'm a medical mom too. If you run out of supplies or need anything when you're down here, call me before going to the hospital. I'm sure we have extras. So that was just a little bit of a mental load off. I had another special needs mom who had just took the same trip. And so she gave me tips and tricks about where to stop along the highway, what was a good place to get out and had shade, that sort of thing. For eligibility specific, I talked to my DME company. They told me, Heather, I can overnight supplies to Florida just like I can overnight supplies to your house. So don't freak out. We'll send it to you if we need to. I'd already looked up, there was a local hospital in the town we were in. There was a children's hospital an hour away. I let my St. Louis team know that we were going to be there so that if I had any questions or issues, they were already aware of where we were. Community-based, if we were going to take a flight, TSA Cares, I hear, is amazing to deal with. We had roadside parks for breaks. We had people told me that if I called Fort Walton or Okaloosa City, that they would bring me a beach wheelchair or mats or things like that to get to the beach. We didn't feel like that was necessary at Tate's weight. He's 40 pounds. I definitely, in the future, can see us using something like that, but we felt like we could get through this vacation without utilizing those resources. There's rental facilities that have beach wheelchairs and beach wagons. There's different beach access points that have rubber mats that go down to the water. So we didn't do any of that this trip, but I had kind of looked them up in advance for if I get down there and can't get him onto the beach, where could we possibly go? And then for technology, I had my phone. I had a tablet, which is Tate's form of comfort. He uses the tablet at home, so he had it down there as well. He has the Voxen ventilator, his portable medical equipment. He had his splashy bath chair that doubled as bath chair plus beach chair. He had a cerebral palsy swim float so he could swim. We had the wheelchair and wagon. We ended up renting a van because it had more room for all of our stuff. We had car chargers and adapters, so technology just really helped make this trip possible. And like I said, the Fort Walton Travel Facebook page, and then talking to SC and 8A moms who'd been on vacations before and made it happen. Just having those kind of connections were great. So of course I added pictures of the trip so you guys can see that we made it and had a good time. And okay, let's get started. So now this is just the fun part. Get your support stars out. What I really want you to do is think of a topic. Like I said, we kind of said that this is going to be a summer activity or self-care, but really, if you have something important to you, pick that as your topic, please, and we can talk through it on this call. Like, it does not have to be, well, we're supposed to be doing a summer thing, or we're supposed to be doing self-care. I mean, I'm trying to think. I had an idea for mine, and I don't even. Oh, we've been thinking about. Again, I have the wheelchair ramp scenario. We've been thinking about getting a vertical lift, so I was thinking about making one just for that. So really, I've also just made one about Tate before too. I put Tate's name in the middle. I put what his personal strengths were, who his close relationships were, what eligibility services he had, what community resources I wanted to get him in or that he was already involved in, and then technology that could help him. So really, you can do this with just about everything. Casey, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I'm excited to kind of get started. I've been writing some things down as you were talking about different ideas that I want to do on my chart. So I'm excited about that. You just tell me when you want me to stop recording.
I think we could stop recording now. I feel like that's the informational part, and now it's just chatting.
Perfect.
I'm going to pop my can here because my throat's a little parched after all that talking. So does any